What's up YouTube, photographer Ronnie Sweater. In this tutorial, you're going to be learning high-end skin retouching and color grading in Photoshop. And if I told you to download the image to follow along with this tutorial, simply check the links in the description on this video. So simply like the video and don't forget to subscribe if you're watching and you haven't subscribed yet to this channel. So we're going to be learning frequency separation, and remember, frequency separation is a skin retouching technique that is going to divide the image into the high frequency layer and the low frequency layer. The high frequency layer basically represents the textures, and the low frequency layer basically represents the colors in the image. So we're going to get this same image and divide it into two layers. So just come the background layer right here and press Ctrl J or Command J. And by that, to drag and drop the image in Photoshop, or to open the image in Photoshop, simply drag and drop it in Photoshop. So double click on this layer, name it to low frequency, and double click on the name right here and name it to high frequency. And after doing that, select the low frequency layer and turn off the high frequency layer. Simply come to filter, blur, and come to Gaussian blur right there. So when you come to Gaussian blur, it's going to open up the Gaussian blur window or dialog box right here. So this is what you have to pay maximum attention to, because this step is what determines the amount of skin details that you're going to remain within the finally edited image. So take the radius slider down and click on an area you feel has more skin details or skin textures than the rest of the image. And after doing that, you simply left click and start dragging this radius slider up. So start dragging up the radius slider and stop at the point. So you left click, hold down and drag, and keep on dragging up and stop at the point where you are just starting to lose out on the details in the skin. So depending on your image that you're going to be editing, it may be having different levels of details. And what you have to understand by this step is, the lower the radius, the smoother the skin, and the higher the radius, the more textures are going to be remaining within the image. So you have to stop at the point where you are just starting to lose out on the details, but you can still identify those blemishes or where they were existing initially. Click OK. Select the high frequency layer, now activate it. Simply come to image and come to apply image, and it's going to open up the apply image dialog box right here. The source is the name of the image. Layer, select the low frequency layer. The channel has to be RGB. The blending for a 16-bit image right here, you can set to have 16, has to be add. Opacity 100%. The scale is 2 and offset 0. Make sure you turn on the invert option and you'll see the textures on this gray layer. So if at all you're editing an 8-bit image, the blending has to be subtract. The scale has to be 2 and offset 128. And the invert option is not turned on for an 8-bit image. Mine is a 16-bit. So I'll just come and simply turn on add, and scale is to offset 0 for a 16-bit image, and click OK. Change the blend mode from normal to linear light. So after doing this, select both layers and press Ctrl G, or you can use Command G on the keyboard. Click on the drop down arrow to open up the group, and now hide the high frequency layer and select the low frequency layer. The reason for doing this is because right now we just want to perfect the skin colors and blend the skin tones of our subject or model in this case. So after doing that, we're just going to come to the brushes, right click and get the mixer brush tool. And for whichever tool you select in Photoshop, the settings are always going to display above here. So after getting the mixer brush tool, so if at all you can't locate your mixer brush tool under the brushes, you can locate the mixer brush tool down here. So with the mixer brush tool selected, you're simply going to come and make sure we set it right. So make sure you have selected clean brush, and after selecting clean brush, make sure the option that says clean the brush after each and every stroke has been selected. With a weight of 9%, load 75, mix 90, flat 100%. Make sure sample all layers is not checked right here. So what we want to do, just want to perfect the image. So in order to perfect, you're simply going to come and start blending the image or the skin color. So to blend, we have to keep on playing around with different sizes of the brush, and to do that, you can increase or decrease on the size of the mixer brush tool by using the open and close brackets on the keyboard or the box brackets. And the other thing you have to take into consideration, don't zoom all the way in when you're trying to blend or mix the skin tones. So we mix a given color, and how to mix, we simply hold down the option, rather we don't, you hold down the left click button, particularly you're using a trackpad or a mouse, and you blend just like that. So to blend, you move the brush in or the cursor in a given direction. So reduce on the size to work on a smaller area. So we are basically trying to blend colors that are looking alike in the image, just like that. Come to the highlight area and also blend, just like that. So you can see how you can simply blend. But as you're doing this, you can notice that the image is looking a little bit blurry. But the reason for this is because we turned off or hid the high frequency layer that is containing the details in the image. So you're just going to come and continue blending. So you have to blend in a given direction or how a given area is shaped to keep and maintain the original shape of the model's face, so that you don't distort or change the original or natural facial appearance. So you can see the cheek is moving in this direction, so I'll just follow that direction so that I can maintain the contours in her face. So I'm just going to continue blending just like that. Blend the highlight here, blend every area. So take your time as you are trying to blend the transitions. So just blend just like that. So when it comes to the nose, reduce on the size by using the bracket keys and also blend this area of the nose. And by the way, if at all the brush is showing a plus icon, press the caps lock on the keyboard to reset the brush to what it is meant to be, or the original or initial shape of your brush. So I'm just going to come and blend on the nose area. So I'm blending the dark areas of the nose alone, and also blending the highlight area of the nose alone. So I'll just blend majority of those areas, and you can see I'm not zooming all the way in, so that I can save quite a lot of time and I cover a wide area while retouching at a distance. So I'm just going to come to the lower part of the body and also blend just like that. So just come and blend. So you have to be careful and make sure to blend every area that has or contains skin tones, and that is what we call skin retouching. Don't leave out any single area as you're trying to do your skin retouching. So I'll just come and blend these areas just like that, and even out the transitions between the skin color or the skin tones in this case. So I'm just going to come. You can see I keep on increasing or decreasing on the size of the brush. So one hand has to be on the bracket keys for you to be very effective and quick with the retouching process. And if at all you're finding the video helpful, simply like this video and don't forget to subscribe, because when you like the video, it helps YouTube push and recommend this channel or these videos to many people out there, and it's going to also help the channel grow in the long run. So you can see we're done working on the skin and we're done blending. So you can now come and turn on the texture or high frequency layer so that you can see what I've been able to achieve in this case. So you can see the overall before after. So after working on the skin tones, the next thing is going to be working on the textures and perfecting the textures of this very image. And by the way, you can as well incorporate a second technique for better results. So just come and after turning on the texture or high frequency layer, come and get the lasso tool and make sure new selection mode is active and feathering is set to 20 pixels and alias is selected, and simply left click and draw a shape. So keep away from the eyebrows or the edges of the image that you're working on. So just come to filter blur and once again come to Gaussian blur. it is going to bring back the initial radius. So what you have to do in this case, multiply that radius by 3 and type in that value. So 7 by 3 is 21. So if at all you are using a radius of 4, multiply 4 by 3 and put in the value. So mine is 21. I'll just hit OK. To deselect, click out from the selection to deselect. So I'll just come back, filter, blur, and come to Gaussian blur, just like that. So this step is basically going to perfect those areas that you may have accidentally missed out as you're trying to paint using the mixer brush tool. And by the way, if at all you find the effect too much for your liking, always remember to come to the selection after applying the Gaussian blur, right click on the selection and come and fade or reduce on the opacity. So just right click and reduce on the opacity by coming to fade, Gaussian blur, and reduce on the opacity in that given area so that it can look better and natural. So this is the before and after for just working on the skin tones. So right now we just want to perfect the skin textures. So just come to the high frequency layer and get the clone stamp tool and make sure the hardness set to 0. The mode is normal opacity and the flat 100%. Make sure align is checked. Then also sample is set to current layer. Zoom into the image by using Ctrl plus on the keyboard, or you can use Command plus on the keyboard. So to remove a given pimple or blemish while using the clone stamp tool, we make sure the size is slightly bigger than the pimple or the blemish. Then we move the clone stamp tool towards or near the pimple or blemish and simply hold down the option key on the keyboard or the alternate key on the keyboard and left click on a clean area near that blemish and release the option key on the keyboard and the left click button, and once again left click once again over the blemish to replace the blemish with clean skin. So that is how you can use the clone stamp tool to stamp over or to remove the blemishes in your image as you're trying to use frequency separation as a skin retouching technique. So this step is basically for perfecting the textures and making sure that we have even and perfect skin textures in the image. So I'll just come and paint just like that. So to move to a given area, hold down the space bar key and drag or left click to drag in a given direction that you want to move to. So you can say I'm holding on the space bar key, and when you hold down the space bar key, it is going to bring the hand tool and it's going to help you move in that direction that you drag to. So I'm just going to remove this quick so that we don't spend a lot of time here. So you have to keep on zooming in and zooming out to see or identify the pimples or skin imperfections in the overall image so that you can get a chance to clear them out or remove them from the subjective skin. So this is what we have been able to achieve. So take your time as you are cleaning up the blemishes, like I've already emphasized that, because blemish removal contributes over 80% to your overall edited or retouched photo. So right now we are almost done with the blemish removal. Let's just get rid of this scar in that area. So I think right now we are good to go. So right now we are done with the skin retouching, and this is the image before after. So next we just want to color grade and get a better skin tone or skin color for the image or for the model. So we are going to create a stamp visible layer by pressing Shift Option Command E on the keyboard. We can use Shift Alternate Control E on the keyboard to create a stamp visible layer. Come to the new layer icon and left click on it to create a new empty layer. Change the blend mode from normal of that empty layer to color, and after doing that, just come to brushes, get the normal brush tool and make sure hardness is set to 0, soft round brush is selected, then the mode is normal, opacity at 100%, flat 100%. So after doing that, you're just going to zoom in. So make sure you are still selected on the empty layer. So we just want to sample a color of the skin that we want the rest of the image or the model to have. So in this case, I'll just hold down the Option key on the keyboard. For Windows, it is the alternate key on the keyboard, and simply left click on a color that I want. And as soon as you do that, you can see that the color is going to be displaying right there. And after you have done that, with a brush tool selected, simply come and start painting on the skin. So just come and paint on the skin. So take your time as you're trying to paint on the skin. And when we do this, you can see the skin is now going to be having that kind of uniform color. So I just take my time trying to paint on the skin. So what we are doing right now is what we call evening out of skin tones, or trying to create uniform skin tones for our image or for this very photo. So we're just going to reduce on the size by using the box bracket keys on the keyboard once again. Don't forget that. So we're just going to come and paint on the skin just like that. So keep away from the eyebrows or the hair as you're trying to paint. And if at all you make a mistake, simply get the eraser tool, and the eraser tool is going to enable you rub away or erase that mistake that you may not have wanted to commit as you're trying to paint over the skin of your model or the image that you're trying to work on. So I'm just going to make sure that, or ensure that I have painted on each and every area that has skin, just like that. So right now this looks better and it looks great, but the effect is too much. So I'll show you later on how you can easily correct that error or that oversaturated and unnatural looking skin color. So to correct the areas that you may have accidentally painted in the first place, this is what we have to do. So I'm just going to reduce on the size and paint in that area. So to rectify, get the eraser tool, or you can use E on the keyboard, and make sure the mode is set to brush, opacity in the flat 100%. So I'll just come with the eraser tool selected. So the work of the eraser is to erase or rub away the effect from the areas we do not want to affect in the first place. So I would recommend that you always zoom in if at all you reach this step of erasing the effect or correcting. So you can see that we hadn't painted in this area. So this is the advantage of zooming all the way in, because it enables you look at and identify the areas you may have not painted in the first place. Command minus to zoom out. So this is what we have right now, but it is looking unnatural and unrealistic because the skin looks too yellow. So just come the opacity, reduce the opacity to your liking. So we shall go with an opacity of around 60 for this image. That's the before after. But when you find that the skin is still looking oversaturated, we are going to come to the adjustments and simply come to hue and saturation adjustment layer, come to master and simply select the reds, and come to where you see lightness and drag the lightness down just like that. Then we just want to add more contrast to the subject's skin. You're just going to come and create a black and white adjustment layer and change the blend mode from normal to multiply, and come and reduce on the opacity just like that, and it is going to add more contrast to the skin before after. Remember, the multiply blend mode is going to always darken. So after doing that, we're just going to come and create a selective color adjustment layer. Come and simply select the blacks because we want to intensify the blacks in the hair or the dark parts of the image. So just come and select blacks, then take up the blacks slider just a tiny bit. So just take this up to around 1 or 2 and come to the cyans and make the blacks even look better. So this is what we have right now before and after for just the selective color adjustment layer. So after doing this, you can make the image pop a little bit more by adding contrast, or to make the image pop. So come and create a levels adjustment layer. So with that done, simply come, hold down the option key on the keyboard or the alternate key on the keyboard and drag this up just like a little bit. And also come, you can see now the blacks are dark enough. Then take the bright pointer also by holding on the option key on the keyboard up to where a point whereby the highlights are just starting to display that red color. So this is the before and after. And right now we have an issue. The skin is a little bit oversaturated, so we're just going to come and reduce on the opacity just like that, so that the effect is not too much. So it's the before after. So this is what we have been able to achieve right now. And if at all you find the video helpful up to this point, simply like this video. So after doing this, we can as well come and add glow or shine to the model's skin by simply coming to the curves adjustment layer. So just come and select curves, then come and click on this pointer towards the right hand side. So left click on it and drag it towards the left hand side up to when you feel like the highlights are to the level that you want. Then double click on this curves adjustment layer to open up the layer style dialog box. Then come and make sure blend if is set to gray, and come to the underlying layer. So take the effect or move this slider from the shadow areas and drag them towards the highlight area just like that, and stop at the point whereby only the brightest areas or the highlights are being affected in this case. Then hold down the option key on the keyboard or the alternate key on the keyboard and split this so that the effect can blend well or better into the model skin. And after doing that, just come and click OK. Click on the white layer mask and press Ctrl I on the keyboard, or you can use Command I on the keyboard to invert the effect. Then get the brush tool, make sure you have black and white on these two color swatches. To reset, if at all you have any other random color, left click on these two boxes or squares. Then make sure white is the foreground color. Remember, in Photoshop, white is going to reveal and black is going to hide. So the glow has been hidden behind the black mask. So to get it back, we are simply going to increase on the size of the brush by using the bracket keys on the keyboard, and only make sure to only paint on the bright areas of the image or the highlights. And in this case, it is going to make the skin better, and it is going to add that nice, rich and beautiful glow to your subject's skin. So this is the before after. You can see how beautiful the image has gotten to be to this very point. So what we want to do next, we just want to do a little bit of eye whitening. So in order to whiten the eyes, simply come and create a hue and saturation adjustment layer. Make sure master is selected and simply come to the saturation and take out the saturation up to around -74. Select the white layer mask and press Ctrl I on the keyboard to invert. So with the brush tool selected and white as the foreground color, reduce on the size of our brush and simply paint on the white area of the eyes. So just paint on what you feel is white in the eyes. Don't paint in the corner because that is initially not meant to be white. So paint only in the white area of the eye using the brush tool. So you can as well do the same for the teeth whitening and paint each individual tooth at a time. So this is what we have been able to achieve right now, and you can see how beautiful the image has gotten to be. So to play around with the background even more, you can as well create one final selective color adjustment layer and come to the whites and simply come to where you see yellows, and you can play around with this so that you can make the background whiter or look better than it was initially. Then invert this layer mask by pressing Ctrl I, or you can use Command I on the keyboard. And with the brush tool selected, white as the foreground color, you can simply only paint on the background so that the effect doesn't affect majority of the areas that have white, like the eyes and the teeth. So this is what we have been able to achieve right now, and you can see the effect. So before after. So right now we just want to save the image So let me show you quick before and after, before saving the image. So this is the image before, after, before, after. So in order to save the image, simply come right here to File, Export, and come to Export As, and it's going to open up the Export As dialog box right here in Photoshop. And make sure the file settings, the format is set to JPEG, quality all the way to the maximum, which is 7. Resample is set by cubic sharper because we want a sharp image that is going to be saved. And make sure the color space is checked to convert to sRGB and also embed color profile, and simply click on export. So this is how you can easily do skin retouching color grading in Photoshop. And if at all you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to like this video and don't forget to subscribe if at all you have been watching and you are not yet subscribed to this channel. Ronix from Ronix Photography. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in more videos on this channel. Don't forget to keep practicing and also keep creating.